What is breach of trust in embezzlement cases? Imagine trusting someone with your most valuable assets and then discovering they used that trust to take what wasn't theirs. That's the core idea behind breach of trust in embezzlement cases. It's a key element that sets embezzlement apart from simple theft. When someone in a position of responsibility or authority takes money or property for themselves, they are violating the trust placed in them. This isn't about stealing from a stranger. It's about abusing a relationship where there was a legal duty to protect or manage assets. In legal terms, breach of trust happens when a person with a fiduciary relationship, like an employee and employer, a trustee and beneficiary, or a financial advisor and client, uses their position to access assets they are supposed to safeguard. They then decide to use those assets for personal gain, not for the purpose they were entrusted for. This act is not accidental. It involves conscious decision-making. The person knew they were violating their duty and intentionally misused the assets. To prove embezzlement, prosecutors need to show four things. First, there must be a clear relationship of trust. Second, the defendant must have had lawful access to the assets because of that relationship. Third, they must have taken the assets for themselves, not for the original purpose. And finally, they must have acted intentionally, knowing they were breaching their duty. Breach of trust can show up in many ways. For example, an accountant might falsify records to hide withdrawals. An employee might use a company credit card for personal expenses. A financial advisor might inflate the value of investments to a client. What makes these actions embezzlement is that the person had legitimate access, but instead of protecting the assets, they used them for personal benefit. Courts see breach of trust as a serious violation because it damages the foundation of confidence in business and professional relationships. When someone abuses that trust, it can lead to harsher penalties than simple theft. Defense strategies often focus on whether the defendant had permission to use the assets or if they believed they were entitled to them. Sometimes, misunderstandings or mistakes about the rules can help challenge the breach of trust claim. In white-collar crimes, breach of trust often involves complex schemes. Defendants might hide their actions through falsified records or deception. These cases can involve federal charges like mail fraud, wire fraud, or securities fraud, all rooted in the breach of trust. Understanding this element helps in building a defense because if the prosecution cannot prove the defendant knowingly and intentionally violated the trust, the case might be dismissed or reduced.